Welcome into the Dynasty Brews podcast relaunch episode. We are so happy to be back at it. And now we're with the Belly Up Network. And you can see us on Tiki Live on Saturdays at 9 p.m. But first of all, Justin, one Justin to another Justin, man.
Yeah.
We're back at it. How are you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. I got the season's over. I only got one championship this season, but I'll take it. Kids are doing good, so life seems to be kind of getting back to normal again. How about you?
Oh, man. Shoot. I was in like 3 or 4 semifinals, and then it absolutely, that week 16 just slaughtered my teams. I walked away with one title, was happy with it, got a nice cash prize for it. But the biggest thing is that we're back, man. We're finally on the visual side as well as the audio side. If there were anybody who was watching or listening to us before, we were on Anchor before. So now we're on StreamYard. And one hell of a first guest, FSWA finalist Corbin Young for the best ongoing series. Corbin, how's it going, man? How you doing today?
What's happening? Yeah, thanks for having me on. Like we were chatting about earlier, just talking fantasy football, just kind of a nice little escape from the real world sometimes. So it's good to chat with you guys.
Yeah, man. Fantasy sports is the best way to kind of escape from the real world sometimes, especially if you guys got kids like my 2 colleagues do. Unfortunately, I don't have kids. Well, actually, some might say fortunately for right now, I don't have kids. Save up some money and do all that type of stuff. But anyways, guys, let's get into it. I want to break it off with some news. Let's start talking about some of the stuff coming up. How did you like those playoff games? And what are your predictions for the Super Bowl? Let's kick it off to you, Corbin, first. Just give me what your thought processes were through those 2 playoff games.
If the Chiefs and the Bills and then the Chiefs and the Bengals could play 5 more times, I would watch it 5 more times. I mean, even the 49ers Rams game probably lived up to expectation just in terms of ending and the final possession or so there. So, I mean, I was pulling for the Bengals, but I mean, shoot, I give them props for going this far after, kind of being kind of the bottom dwellers of the AFC North to where they are now. So, I mean, I always joke, thinking back to the NFL draft and, it's like, are they going to take Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell? And it's like, well, I think they made the right choice again with the elite wide receiver there. So, no, I mean, both the offenses are exciting. I think maybe you would have preferred a different outcome on the NFC side, but, just the wildness of sports really, right?
Yeah, that's right. Corbin knows that I'm a San Francisco 49er fan at this point. But, 100%. I mean, that game was wild. Being a 49er fan, I would have wanted to watch the Chiefs, Bills, or Bengals fight it off in the Super Bowl because that would have been a lot more interesting than putting the Rams or the 49ers in that situation. But you're absolutely right. They came into the season and they were talking about Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell. Do we want to protect Joe Burrow or do we want to give Joe Burrow an elite talent? And obviously their decision panned out. I mean, what can you say? Joe Burrow can get sacked 9, 10 times, whatever it takes. But as long as he can get them back in the game and, he's got that mentality, that game-changing mentality. Justin, how did you see that one? How did you see those 2 games?
Well, it's difficult. I was really big into some best ball, some stuff. I for sure thought, my buddy's a Cowboys fan, and so going into the playoffs, he does some stuff for his work. They were doing a playoff bracket thing, and he's like, man, I got Dallas going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, dude, Dallas isn't going to beat San Francisco. I was like, dude, San Francisco has the second best roster next to the Rams. I think they could actually go to the Super Bowl if the Rams have a hiccup against whoever they play. He's like, no, that's not going to happen. I was like, well, what's their weakness? He's like, well, I don't know, but this is the best Dallas team they've had in years. I'm like, no, man, San Francisco's good. And then, so sure enough, San Francisco goes on that run, and then I'm a Bills fan, so then obviously the next week I'm sitting there texting with him during the game, and Josh Allen puts him up with 13 seconds left, right? And I go, man, I know you think this is over, but I'm a Bills fan. I know what's coming. He's like, dude, don't even. I'm like, no, man. I've seen this thing before. So, yeah. Obviously, going into this game, the Bengals were completely off my radar. So I think I got the Rams in this one pretty heavily. And I was going to ask you guys, like, I know that, we're talking Super Bowl here, but I'm a freaking nerd when it comes to fantasy football. I don't know what you guys think, but I'm out on Joe. Like, I think this is his ceiling, but I just don't know how sustainable it is. I mean, you have Mixon there going off too, so I don't know. Hot take, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't know if this is the ceiling for Joe Burrow. I think it's damn close to it. But I think Joe Burrow's obviously doesn't have the running game to really add to it. But, I mean, he threw for 520 times this year. He's got 2 locked in he's going to be second and third year receivers that are gold right now. He's got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. If they bring back Boyd, CJ Uzama was looking pretty damn decent too. I mean, this guy has the potential to, even if this was his ceiling, he has the potential to keep this going for quite a bit of time. And even if there's like a slight drop off, I think I'll still take him over a lot of the aging out quarterbacks at this point. When we talk about guys that were top 5, like Russell Wilson, freaking even
he still should be. He still should be, by the way. But
I mean that's
debatable, sure. But
really debatable at this point because their offense has kind of been. I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of like, what is it at this point? You got Rashad Penny, who's an up-and-comer, but did he really do damage against good teams? And then No, go ahead.
No, man, I don't even know. I don't even know if Russell Wilson's going to be back there. But, I mean, Russell Wilson was dealing with that finger injury the whole year. He had 2 good players. I mean, obviously it's a little bit – you've never really seen Russ, like, control the game as far as like the whole season, like letting him cook. But I mean, as far as accurate passers go, he's one of the best. And then he has that rushing upside. I mean, if that dude went to like the Steelers, where you got Chase Claypool on the outside, then you got Deontay underneath, and then you got Najee in the backfield, like I could just see him becoming a league winner next year. Yeah. Obviously, that takes a lot of things to happen, but I think it was a matter of circumstance around him, and you have a very conservative play caller as well. So that's just kind of my 2 cents. I mean, I can definitely see why he's a discounted. He's getting up there in age, but he's coming off an injury. There's other players, but like he's really not that old in terms of like quarterbacks when you look at the landscape.
Well, that is true. That is true. I mean, and this year is going to be very different because it's. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be up in the air, and there's a lot of vacancies now. You got Tampa, you got Denver, you got Pittsburgh, and then you got where's Aaron Rodgers going, right? Where's Aaron Rodgers going? If he goes, I mean, I still think Aaron and Russ will both stay put because I don't think those franchises have the cojones to make the move. But it's always interesting this time of year to start talking about it, right? And start fantasizing like, oh shit, like what's Aaron Rodgers and Denver gonna look like? Or like you said,
I've been on record with Rodgers.
Jersey.
I do not think Rodgers is back. And I know darn well that Devontae is not coming back either. They're $40 million under the cap. They can do some stuff with that. But that's like Dynasty 101, like the best advantage you can get is looking ahead at contracts. And so, like, I own Jordan Love everywhere. Is Jordan Love good? I had him, like, number 3. I did have him ahead of Tua, so that was wrong, obviously, because I think Tua's going to be fine. But I just don't think Rodgers is coming back. And I think that when I got Jordan Love, he wasn't even, like, set to play. I mean, there were the rumors, but he was still pretty cheap last year. So I think Rodgers is definitely going somewhere, but I just don't know where.
Well, let's jump into something else here because let's keep the fantasy outlook on this, but let's jump into a new coach, Josh McDaniels in Las Vegas. Corbin, how are you looking at that, and how are you saying, do I want to go with Derek Carr? Do I think that these guys are going to keep Carr? What does this look like an outlook for Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller? What are you kind of thinking about the Raiders with Josh McDaniels coming in to his second AFC West team?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think my gut is that Josh McDaniels is probably a better OC than he is a head coach, but I mean, that's yet to be determined, I guess. I mean, I guess what the hand he was dealt in what Denver was like Tim Tebow or something. So maybe Derek Carr's could really upgrade over that. So I think, regardless of what, people say about Derek Carr, I think he's definitely like a, average or above average quarterback. So he's probably, I like the way that they use Josh Jacobs this year. And, if Darren Waller's healthy, I mean, they obviously need Hunter Renfro's great, but I think they need another reliable receiver.
Are you not a believer in Bryan Edwards, Corbin?
Breakout age, whatever, but I don't know what to say, whatever. Anyway, Zay Jones is where it's at on that. I mean, every year they come up with some guy. Not last year was Nelson Aguilar. Somebody they're just digging up from the scrap heap, and he just pops.
I do have a serious question, and I'm sorry, I'm like really big into like just discussing stuff. I've written about this at Dynasty Nerds too. Derek Carr broke off contract talks with them. He enters the final year of his deal. Like, do you guys think that he's in Vegas day one next year? I mean, if you had to place a bet.
No. I think that they're both kind of sick of each other. I think Carr is kind of sick of getting like all the flack for all of, I was about to say Oakland, but all of Las Vegas's problems. And I think Las Vegas is kind of thinking they're a little bit better than Derek Carr, which is, I'm like thinking to myself, kind of slow your roll there for a second, buddy. like there's a lot of things you need to fix that he's been fixing with his good play at this point. That defense has been kind of atrocious for the past couple of years. They stepped it up this year, but at the end of the day, I think that it's going to be a mutual separation for them. I think both parties want to kind of get away from each other. That's just my take on it. Whoever would get Derek Carr would be getting a still relatively young quarterback and a guy who I think can take it to the next level under a good OC.
His contract's not even that bad either because he signed, how the quarterback contracts go.
Oh, yeah.
They've been getting kind of a bargain relative to the landscape. What do you think, Corbin? Do you think he's there day one?
Derek Carr?
Yeah.
I haven't even thought about that. I probably more thought about the Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers leaving. I mean, if he goes somewhere, I think he's going to take some time to get some reps. I don't think he's to get going. I don't think he's just going to be like Kirk Cousins where he just kind of slides right in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of give guys some credit like Derek Carr when it's just like to just get their coaches turned over, and it's hard to get any consistency.
Yeah, it's like Alex Smith-esque.
Yeah, so I mean, if he goes somewhere, I don't expect him to just be QB2 status right away. I think he's going to take some time to whatever offense that's in. But
yeah, it's funny because back in the all season, I thought that he was done, and I actually Mac Jones was doing well, but I was like, man, if McDaniels went somewhere, I think McDaniels would do pretty good. And then sure enough. See, I actually, for the longest time, I thought Carr was done, but I think if there's one guy that can get that robot wired, I think McDaniels can actually do some damage with that offense. It's going to be really up to that defense to kind of pick up their pace, I think. So.
No, I think what's going to be interesting about that offense is now they've seen that Josh Jacobs can actually work as a receiving back. Will they keep on pushing that? Because they have a history of getting, power backs like Peyton Barber, and then getting a Jalen Richard, somebody who's just a scat back. But you have in Josh Jacobs a guy who can play both roles pretty damn well and is a hard guy to tackle in open field, which, I mean, if you've ever seen Deebo Samuel play, that's a trait you want on your team. Somebody who's hard to freaking tackle in open field.
I guess he's pretty good.
Yeah,
Deebo's
a little bit. Just a little bit, yeah. It's not bad. He's no Bryan Edwards, by the way.
Yeah, he's not even on the same realm. You know what's funny? True story. I drafted Bryan Edwards at 301. 2 weeks later, a dude gave me a first-round pick for him, and so I immediately accepted. I was like, well, I don't want to lose a key player, but it is a first for a guy I paid a third on. Man, I don't know what that guy was doing, but I was super stoked, especially this season. because that's finally.
There was a lot of hype behind him. That first year that he came out, everybody thought, "Oh shit!" Like this guy, because he I believe he tore his ACL at South Carolina, right? Like that was the whole reason he missed most of his senior, if not all of his senior year. I don't remember his entire scouting report.
I think health has always been a thing with him too. I don't think it was just that. I think he missed a lot of games. If I remember right, I'm not I'll be honest. I do a lot of scouting right about now. Like I'm just about ready to get into it, but I don't pay a lot of attention to college football other than Nebraska, which is probably down. I mean, it saved myself a lot of work in the offseason.
So I mean, we were just talking about coaches. So I got a quick question for you guys, and this is the buzz of the town right now. Is Brian Flores going to coach again? I mean, it seems like he's going to get buried, but at the same time, it would look really bad on the NFL right now if they blackballed him.
That was the weirdest, because I'm sure you guys saw the text message screenshots or whatever. That was the weirdest. I don't know. I mean, maybe I was.
It looked like somebody doctored it up, literally. Yeah. How could you be that way? What is your thought process behind that? Do you not put names on there? It's cringy.
I will give Belichick kind of a pass. I don't know how Belichick does his phone, but I mean, to his credit, they're at least both named Brian. So maybe he thought he was texting Brian. But either way, I mean, I don't know how the Giants recover from that. I mean, pretty clearly they knew who they were hiring, and it was a sham interview. They're gonna do their lawyer thing, but I mean, it's pretty clear that. And the thing is, I think Flores is a good coach. They're saying he's a finalist for Houston. We'll see if Houston pulls the trigger. I'm not really buying it. I mean, by all accounts, it sounds like that's Josh McCown's job somehow. But if I'm leading a coach today, after all the coaches that have been hired, Flores would probably has the best track record, unless you're a Nagy guy.
I don't know one person that's a Nagy guy really at this point.
Being sarcastic.
But yeah, go ahead, Corbin. I can see you were about to say something.
No, I was going to say I agree. I think he's a good coach. I think it's unfortunate kind of the way that went down. I mean, yeah, I guess if you think they're both named Brian, but yeah, even then it's I guess if I was Brian Daboll, I wouldn't have said anything, or I don't know how that got leaked out, but no. And so it's why would you even tell someone else that if, it's if somebody said, hey, you got the job, but we still got to go through the process. That's kind of just I don't know. 101 of
I think he was
shouldn't say anything.
Yeah, it was probably, honestly, it was just probably a friendly text, and obviously Belichick let it go. But my biggest thing is I don't think the Giants are going to get that much flack for it. But the Dolphins trying to pay off, if any of that is actually true, paying off to lose, that's big time level shit right there, to a point where I would think the owners got to start. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I watch a lot of PFT. I mean, they're talking about saying we should do a lottery. And I'm like, man, I used to hate the lottery, but this is proof that you got to do something. You can still make a lot of money just like the NBA. I mean, the NFL can sell the lottery pretty well, but the NFL is also notorious for making the best teams, the worst teams, like the Bengals, are now playing in a Super Bowl. So you got to balance both of those.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the lottery with the NBA is a lot more. I mean, it's kind of crucial that you actually get the last place teams in that role. The lottery is kind of something that you shouldn't be using for that, because of the fact that the talent pool in the NBA is so small. With the NFL, the talent pool is so gigantic at this point. You can find good players.
Yeah. Once you get outside the top 10, right? I mean, it's
sometimes top 5. In good draft and bad draft classes, terrible. I mean, just wow. You could be a terrible team, say the Sacramento Kings or something like that, constantly getting pick 7, but you're getting a schlub at pick 7 all the time instead of getting pick 1 or something. But yeah,
and again, you can also get a Lamar Jackson at 32. So it really just the good teams, right?
Yeah, and that's why Baltimore's always competing every single year. Well, guys, so I want to do a quick one for you guys. I want to do a quick cheers for you guys. It's It's amazing just to be back, just to be talking. If you got something, raise it. Cheers, guys. And so I got a quick game for you guys, but we're going to get to a quick ad from Manscaped real quick, and then we will be right back with a new game.
Roses are red, violets are blue, but don't let a wild pube wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here for you with the best tools to get your balls ready for the special occasion. This V-Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY for 20% off and free shipping. The holidays went by so quickly. Did you remember to take care of your package with the best tools for the job? The Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is just the thing every guy needs in their life to make each and every day just a little more special. The number one product in this package is the Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is designed to trim hair on loose skin. And get this, the trimmer's advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts and nicks on your delicate balls. It even has a 4000K LED spotlight so you can shave anywhere your heart desires. Get 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com today. Roses.
Always love that one. So, on to another part of your body that you always want smooth. How about your face? That's so good. You guys don't have to laugh at that one. I got something for that too. So, guys, we're going to play a little game here. It's called Face Value, and it's a version of Guess Who. And so I'm just going to read down how you play. Contestants will be given clues about a player, and they will be asked where they think they will be drafted and guess the player's identity. So you guys will see a certain set of clues, and you'll take it in. You'll be like, okay, this guy should probably be drafted in round such and such. And the round brackets will be 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 10, and then onward. So the clues will be players, position, stat line, division, and a couple key facts. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right, cool. So this guy is a wide receiver. He's 24 years old. His stat line this year was 88 receptions, 1,082 yards, 6 touchdowns. He had 7 games with 10 or more fantasy points. He was targeted 10 times in 5 games. His father is an ex-NFL player. He played running back, and his division is the AFC South. So first off, where would you guys draft this guy?
Corbin, I'll give you the honors. I think I know who it is, but
I mean, maybe like third, fourth.
Okay.
Targeted 10 times, 5 games. How many games did he play?
He played all 16.
Oh,
Or all 17, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say like third, fourth round, just kind of based on the data I have here.
So which one would you lean more towards? Because the bracket, remember, is 1 through 3,
Oh, 3 or 4.
4 through 6.
Let's go 4 through 6.
All right, Justin, what about you?
okay. Yeah, so I think I know exactly who it is. I think I devied this guy. What are the ranges? 1 through 3, 4 through 6, and what else?
7 through 10, and then everything else.
Man, I got this guy hovering between this. I got between the 6th and the 8th, I guess. Not a very high passing volume team. I'm going to go 7 through 10.
All right. Well, Corbin, you this guy is currently being picked the 6th round. So
That's
There's
close.
that. So, guys, I will give you a crack at it. First one who figures it out gets the point.
I'm gonna say Michael Pittman.
It is indeed Michael Pittman Jr.
I
That was
didn't even
probably-
cheat, by the way. The AFC South, the heavy target usage because there was no other options there. I knew about his father because I devied the guy. I'm big into pedigrees when it comes to Debbie players. So I'm a nerd. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I kind of put the division in there to kind of make it a little bit easier. I figured if I just gave you a bunch of stats, you'd be like, what the fudge?
Well, no, you're right. The division made it a little bit easier, but I was leaning towards Pittman, but I didn't know. But once you said the division, I was like, all right, I got this. I did not look up I didn't look anything up. I promise.
No worries. No worries. We'll take your word at it. All right, guys. Round 2. This man is a quarterback, 24 years old. He just came off a 37-87 passing yards year, 423 yards on the rush or on the ground, 29 total touchdowns. He had 10 interceptions. One stat that I thought that was really funny, he had 13 fumbles, but he didn't lose one. He had 8 games with 20 or more fantasy points, 3 games under 15 fantasy points. He went 42-0 in high school, and he's a Heisman winner. I didn't put the division on this one because it would be way too easy at that point. Where would you guys draft this guy?
Are we assuming like super flex, non super flex?
Oh, my bad. Single QB.
Okay.
Oh gosh, I haven't done single QB in a long time. You get to choose. Do you want me to go first? You got it last time, so I'll let you
It doesn't matter. Whoever wants to say it, say it. Go ahead. I figured you guys were just thinking about it, so I wasn't going to rush you.
I was leaning 4 through 6, but I don't know. I was just kind of just what popped in. I mean, maybe, yeah. I'll just go 4 through 6. 1 QB.
Okay,
And I
quarters
feel
4
like-
through 6.
I feel like I know who it is.
Okay.
The
Well,
draft.
that helped you with the last round, but let's see if it helps you with this round.
Well, it didn't really help. So the problem is I'll give you my thought process when I'm done, but I have some reservations with this. Who I think it is, if I'm right. I'll go. Oh man, the market's kind of fighting on. I'll go 7. I'm gonna stay 7 through 9, 7 through 10.
All right. And once again, right now in the 5th round. All right. So here comes the part where you guess it. Who knows who this person is? Just buzz in whenever. It's a race to the
Kyler
point.
Murray.
Oh, shoot.
That's what I
Wow.
would say, yeah.
On fire. That is right. It is Kyler Murray.
So yeah, here's the
Hell
thing.
of a 42-0 in high school, and he did it in Texas too. That man's a
Yeah.
badass.
I didn't know about the fumbles, but the giveaway for me was the Heisman again helped, but he's not a high volume passer, even though he's a high volume passer, but the yardage is never really there, I feel like. Plus
Well, he did miss like 3 games too, so
yeah.
you gotta remember
But
that.
still, when you play 17, I don't know, man. I just feel like I expect a little bit more. Here's why I'm kind of fading him. Not a great situation going forward. He's still got Hopkins. I don't trust the coaching staff. And once you start negotiating that contract, there's always the possibility where he's like, I just want to play baseball. So that's kind of why I knock him down a little bit in my rankings. I took him 110 in a startup, but it felt like a discount in Superflex. But I don't love it either. I don't know what to do with him right now.
Well, you can sell him to me. I will gladly take him. Even though we're not in the same league, I will gladly take him. All right. This is round 3. This is a running back. He's 23 years old. He's coming off a year in which he had 617 rushing yards, 452 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. He was RB7 through week 11. He missed 4 games, 5 games over 15 fantasy points, and his division reveal, NFC North. Where do you guys have this guy on your draft list? 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 10. Probably not in the range after that.
1 to 3.
Corbin says 1 to 3.
Just because I think or at least my guess, if it's that guy, I think I would go 1 to 3.
Again,
don't overthink it, bud.
Yeah, oh man. So it's probably not. That tells me it's probably not who I think it is. So I'll go 1 to 3.
Okay. Both of you are.
I think Corbin gets that point because if you hadn't given me that clue, I was going to guess late round because it's not who I thought it was.
All right. So shall we give Corbin the honors of unveiling him? Who is he, Corbin?
I mean, I don't know. It just popped, but I could be wrong. To me, it felt like DeAndre Swift, but I might be wrong.
And you are not. It is DeAndre Swift. I feel like these divisions are really giving it away.
Well, you'll laugh. I actually thought it could have been with all the missed time. I was actually leaning towards thinking it could have been Madison. With only 600 rushing yards, I didn't see the passing yardage. I probably should have looked at that, but if you had given it.
Yeah, and it could have been A.J. Dillon, too, if he actually got more involved in the receiving game.
Yeah.
So this guy, round 4, is a tight end, 25 years old. His stats this year, 49 receptions, 587 yards, 9 touchdowns. He had 5 games with 10 or more fantasy points, 7 games with 5 or less fantasy points. And here's a quick little stat for you. He played high school quarterback, but walked on at Ole Miss. And his division is the AFC East.
This isn't really fair.
Where would you guys rank him?
Well, was it 4 through 6?
Yeah,
7 through 10?
6.
7 to 10, yeah.
Probably 7 to 10.
I got 4 through 6 grade on this guy, but I've been bullish on this guy ever since he made a big play against the Bengals his rookie season.
Okay. So, all right, does that mean you're going 4 through 6?
I'm going 4 through 6.
You're going 4 through 6. You're going.
I would take him in the 6th. I'd take this guy in the 6th. So it's again fringe, but I'll do 4 through 6.
I feel like you're putting yours in here and you're not thinking about other people's.
Well,
you're playing the game a little wrong.
Well, a little bit, but I'm in a league. I sold this guy for a 2nd-round pick this year, and I got a lot of heat because I was like, well, I like the player, but I'm not so sure that he's going to be as involved as he's going to be going forward due to other people on his team. But the dude is just a freaking massive weapon in the red zone. If I'm right. So I'm probably wrong. Corbin probably gets the point here, but I feel like people should like him because he seems to be a favorite target lately.
Well, I got to tell you, Justin, you're right about one thing. Corbin gets the point. He is currently being averaged out as a 9th-round pick. All right, because I know that Justin has it. Justin, who is it?
It's Dawson Knox.
There it is.
I feel like the way this game has gone, it's like maybe Corbin should do my drafting because I got my I cannot seem to do the rounds well. but I know who the players are. I'm a historian, not a drafter. That's what I'm going to say.
Well, or that means that you know those are some guys that you're picking as some values, right? And you're going to be ahead of the market, so just have to highlight those guys in your spreadsheet or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, so for round 5, this guy is a wide receiver, 27 years old, 76 receptions, 1,000 yards, 1,146 yards, 9 touchdowns, 8 games with 10 or more fantasy points. He finished wide receiver 10. This is the kicker right here. He's a free agent in 2021, and his division is the AFC West.
Like he's going to be a free agent.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, put the wrong year down. 2022. Yeah, he's a free agent.
Probably 4 through 6, but landing spot could bump it to farther. But just based on the season, I think it's 4 through 6.
Yeah, 4 through 6. He's been right every time, so I just gotta go with him.
So 4 through 6 is the unanimous.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, the one time I cheat, it just doesn't work.
And you both wrong. He is now a 7th round pick, which is probably higher than the 12th or 13th pick that you used to pick him at. Round pick. So who wants to take a crack at it? Who's got it?
I thought this was Mike Williams. But, you could be right. Yeah.
I was thinking Mike Williams, but when you initially said 2021, I was like, who the heck? And I just never went back to stage 1. Sometimes I try and take your clues and work my way backwards to things I know.
Well, next time I'll make sure to double check my clues.
No, it's not your fault. You corrected it. I'm just an idiot and didn't follow my process.
Well, guys, that was awesome. Also, if you didn't know that he's also recorded rap songs. He did it at Clemson. Pretty cool guy. All right, guys. And we'll be right back for our roundtable after one more ad from our good buddies at TSS Fantasy.
Hey, gang, it's Commissioner Cooper from TSS Fantasy. We are the fantasy show of the people. That means we give the people what they want. Expert fantasy advice, leading medical and legal analysis, free contests, and innovative games to keep you entertained. Watch us live with the Tiki Live app on the Belly Up Sports channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, or follow us on all social media platforms. Visit TSSFantasy.com today for all the latest updates from the fantasy show of the people. We put the fun in fantasy.
Yeah!
Instead of mayo
over sour cream, yeah.
Right. That's because you have high cholesterol. Okay. If you drafted Julio Jones,
you got ghosted.
This is amazing. TSS Fantasy is like an orgasm. If I had a cigarette, I'd smoke it. I'm pumped to be here. This is the show of shows.
TSS Fantasy, the fantasy show of the people.
Oh, Matt Daddy always telling the fans it's like a fantasy orgasm, and his Macho Man Randy Savage shoots amazing. Every single time it gets me.
Thankfully, I did not get ghosted with Julio Jones. I actually sold him. Though I did get ghosted in that trade because I got Jalen Reagor as part of it. So.
Yeah. Wondering who won that trade. The waiver wire won that trade.
I got 2 twos out of it, but they're 2022 twos, so I definitely don't know how I feel about it. Ask me in 2 years.
Well, how about I ask you right now, guys, this is going to be our final session. It's going to be our roundtable session. Burning questions going around. I asked you guys to come up with 2 of them. And I'm going to start with you, Dynasty Mad, because I know you always got something. You always got something cooking in that brain. So what's up? Tell me something that's burning right now. You're asking yourself, what is the answer to this? And you're going to ask me and Corbin, what's the answer to this, guys?
I was talking to my buddy. We talk I probably talked to him 4 days a week after I dropped the kids off at daycare. We're like best buds. We talk fantasy all day. Question I have is like, I was out on Alvin Kamara for the longest, for the last 6 months. What's his price? Because I think I'm in. I think this Sean Payton thing is kind of overblown. Sean Payton's a great coach, but Alvin Kamara is also a great player. So if I can get Kamara for cheaper than I could 6 weeks ago, I'm feeling pretty good about making that buy if I'm trying to win now. What do you guys think?
I'll defer to you, Corbin, first.
I mean, the usage is so ridiculous. So I think part of me wants to think it's like partially, coaching and scheme and stuff like that and system. But I mean, if you look at like pre-Drew Brees, like he wasn't getting as much touches as he was, so he was just getting fed like this year. So I don't know what that means. It's just more rushing attempts. So like maybe some of that's sustainable. We're not gonna worry about just all the receiving production. But I mean, part of it probably depends on who's their quarterback. I mean, I don't know if we're a Taysom Hill believer.
Let me add in one caveat. Assume, like I do, that Michael Thomas is not there.
Yeah, and if Michael Thomas is not there, then I think before 2021, without Michael Thomas to start the season, I was really high on Kamara because just of like the small sample of when Michael Thomas missed, Kamara was just like fed like a beast. But granted, that was during the year of Drew Brees there. But so I think, he's probably got a year or two left of some elite production, but
yeah,
he misses like a game or two a year, but at least it's not like, it's not like, hopefully it's not like CMC decline where it just like misses half the season 1 year, misses the whole half the season another year, and you're like, oh my gosh. But so I mean, he wasn't getting fed like like CMC was, just in terms of overall touches, right? So I think he's probably safe there. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because it's honestly, that team is just folding right now. I mean, how much cap room do they have to really get rid of, and how much is that going to come into like lineman contracts? This is a really big question, because it's like Kamara, what is this, going into his 4th, 5th year of like a lot of production, or I mean, at least it's his 3rd year of a lot of production, and at some point it's not sustainable. And then at some point you got to look at the team and go, hey, even if he gets a lot of touches, are they going to be quality touches, or is he just going to be getting fed the ball nonstop, but is going to be for like 1-2 yards, So if I were you, I'd be trying to buy him for pretty low. I would be maybe seeing if I can exchange like another running back and maybe like a pick and see if I can get him for that. But I mean, you can easily get like another good year or two out of him, but it could also crumble because the Saints are not really looking that great right now. I mean, not everybody's expected to be DeAndre Swift and carry a shit team to a good fantasy season.
But that's exactly what I'm going to say this season is. This is DeAndre Swift. You've got, if Michael Thomas is gone, like I actually have been on the record since October. I think part of the reason he didn't come back is partly due to injury and partly because of the problems they have there. But you're talking about a guy with lackluster targets around him. They're going to feed that dude the ball in the passing game. And I think you're going to look at a huge season. And then next season, you're going to be able to turn a huge profit if you get him low this year. Hot take probably, but I think the ceiling is a healthy Swift year. Like if Swift played all 17 games this season.
Yeah, and I think we hadn't seen Kamara like hit that 200 rushing attempt, peak, and that's where he was this year. So I think he got fed more volume, the efficiency went down, but I mean at running back, I would take the fed the volume if the efficiency went down, especially if I knew this guy was going to be involved in pass game, which he is, to a reasonable extent. I mean, not many running backs like him, catch 80 passes 2 years in a row. Like that's not a thing that.
My only fear, and I'm taking long, is if Taysom Hill's the quarterback. It's the only thing that's going to worry me.
Right,
which is very realistic.
That's why I was saying, like, but wasn't he like I don't know, maybe I'm totally wrong, but wasn't he like kind of a Sean Payton guy? So maybe there's someone else in there that isn't the case.
That's kind of why that's why I'm thinking bullish on Kamara right now. Sometimes I get bullish and I bet myself in the foot, like when I hyped up Antonio Brown last season. But
is Winston under contract?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still got to go.
No, he's
got years that they can get rid of, but yeah, he's still got a contract.
Okay.
Yeah. At least that's from what my knowledge is, because I think he signed like a 5-year deal like right after his MVP year.
Looks like 1 year, $12 million. But maybe they put phony years on. You might be thinking they probably put phony years on there to spread that cap out. That's probably what they did. I could be. I just pulled it up real quick. Sorry.
No, I mean, if you pulled it up, then you probably got it. All right. Well, let's at least get one question for everybody out on this one. Yep. Corbin, what's your question to the panel?
How do we value Amon-Ra St. Brown, redraft and dynasty? I mean, I if we just like you did your game, right? Just comparing the numbers, right? Just the amount of production this guy had, the amount of volume this guy fed. I was trying to look back at like Brandon Ayuk, like end of last season, right? And kind of how he finished and like Amon-Ra St. Brown smashed what Brandon Ayuk did. I mean, granted the prospect pedigree and all that like stuff is definitely more in Ayuk's favor, but I mean, it just looks kind of silly. So I mean, just like super efficient. I just think there's so like just the amount of like volume he got and how efficient he was. Even if that regresses, it's like without the name, it's like to me, it's like wide receiver 2 type production. Just I mean, granted, TJ Hawkinson was injured and DeAndre Swift was injured, but I mean, unless they go add somebody, but I don't know. I'm just looking at the numbers. I'm like very intrigued, but I know people are like sell, get out now. But
yeah, you raise an interesting point. I liked his film a lot coming out. I didn't get enough shares. Kind of become a prisoner. Sometimes I get become a prisoner of like what ADP says and stuff. But I don't know. I could go either way. I tend to lean towards take the profit while you can because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's why like I always have every player on my team is always available for trade. So depending on what you could get, I'd probably move on from him because I don't think we're going to be able to see that type of production sustained for much. Like I just don't. I feel like that's his ceiling, and I feel like if you could cash that out to get something more stable, if you can elevate your late second, early third round pick into a first for 2023, I'm going to take my chance there for a more stable asset, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I would go with, here's the thing. Whatever you're playing in, I think is like the key to this one. If you're playing in full PPR, I'd probably stick with him because if you got him for anything what anybody else got him for, I mean, I got him for, I think, a 3rd round pick in a rookie draft last year. And sometimes you would even get him like in just free agency. So it was one of those things where, his slot percentages were just off the freaking chart. Like, and that's just easy money right there for any PPR guy. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's getting Jarvis Landry type like targets, and he's going to be playing garbage time all the time. So, I mean, if you got him for, so his slot snaps, he took 62% of his snaps out of the slot position. So for me, I look at that and I go, all right, well, that's easy money targets. This guy's most likely going to catch his reception. In PPR, if you can get this guy getting 12 targets a game, that could easily be 8 to 10 points, just based off of receptions, not even counting yards, and maybe he gets a touchdown. So I would take that production if you drafted him. The whole thing is drafting him this year. I don't know if I would be so bullish on drafting him this year because Justin does pose a good point that could just very well be his ceiling, and you could be drafting somebody based off of their ceiling and not realize what their floor is actually going to be. I mean, he's easily somebody who could, this year with the heavy receivers, could easily fall into a second, third receiver position in Detroit's pecking order. And then
the rumors are, and if this would change my perspective from a player, I do Debbie, but I do concern about. Rumors are is they're very much in on Malik Willis, so not the most efficient passer right now. So
yeah, I wouldn't do that one. I would probably go with like a Carson Strong or something, somebody who's got a ton of potential, a ton of upside.
What I'm getting at is if they do indeed draft Malik Willis, that would squarely put me out on Amon-Ra.
I mean, I don't even know if that would squarely put me out on Amon-Ra St. Brown, because you still got Jared Goff there. I mean, they're not going to just get rid of Jared Goff's contract like that. They still have to play him. So
they might trade him or something else again.
I mean, who are they really going to pawn that contract? It's like trying to pawn off the Kirk Cousins contract.
They could trade Jared Goff and 2 firsts for like Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, but they're not the Rams or the Seahawks. Oh man. But yeah, so actually that is a segue perfectly into my next question. Who do you guys think is the best quarterback coming out? I mean, I know Corbin, you're not really into like the college thing, but I mean, if you had to guess who would be like a quarterback you guys are really like into, I'm going to say I like Kenny Pickett. I know it's kind of been like a universal thing. Everybody kind of likes Kenny Pickett, but I like what he did at Pitt. I think, he's got that, bravado, that kind of like leadership mentality that not a lot of these quarterbacks really do have that I've seen. I'm not in on Malik Willis. I think he has so much to work on. If there was ever a guy, if you guys have played the old college game day games, right? When you're like
college game breaker for me.
Yeah, when you're recruiting and you get a guy and his tag is not even a position, it's called athlete. Yeah, that's what Malik Willis is to me. He's an athlete, but I mean, I don't think I could full on just label him my quarterback of the future. But what about you guys? You guys have probably seen a little bit. I know Justin's seen a lot of like this college draft class as far as quarterback. Who would you feel comfortable with in a year or so saying, here's the franchise kid, don't wreck it?
Yeah, so sorry if I cut you off, Corbin, but I'm not super deep into my scouting. I've done a couple. I've looked at some Debbie film too, but I'm squarely out on Matt Corral, and that's a hot take. I don't like his deep accuracy, and that scares me. He could very well be good, but if we're talking like ceiling, I'm exactly opposite of you. I actually am in on Malik Willis if he goes to the right situation. Has a lot of issues. His ceiling, not Josh Allen, but strong arm, displays accuracy at times, and is a tremendous athlete.
Yeah,
so
but
we're talking stealing.
If you go to the right situation, anybody could be good. Like the right situation doesn't always open itself up in these drafts. Like a lot of these guys are taking reaches.
I mean, I mean, don't discount though. Like years ago, we said Josh Allen was a bust. We said Lamar Jackson was a bust. I mean, the dude is talented. That's why he's in this first round esque spot, right? Yeah. He has issues, but from what I have seen on film, the dude actually can't play. And the stuff that I have issues with is very correctable. Like the big thing is like he'll leave dudes wide open down the field and he won't throw them the ball. Like when the dude sets his feet and if he doesn't move his hip, he's actually not that bad. He's got to get the issues fixed, and he needs a strong quarterback coach to get that stuff out of him. But you can say, but my like the thing that I struggle with is like Matt Corral. I just don't see the deep accuracy. He can throw deep, but he just leaves some passes out there. I'm just like, man, you got to hit that dude in stride. That's a touchdown if you hit him in stride. I'm very nitpicky about hitting people in stride on deep passes.
No, that's why I like Mac Jones.
Josh Allen actually did that decently well at Wyoming when he set his feet.
Fair points.
No, you're asking the wrong guy. I don't have any feedback there. I'm
No worries, no worries. I'll throw one more in there just so we can get a last word. Who are you guys most interested in going forward? Are you more interested in acquiring Patrick Mahomes or acquiring Josh Allen as like your QB1? Because now it's an actual question. Like last year it was kind of a question. Like people were saying, "Oh, Josh Allen's really good." This year they're saying, "Yeah, Josh Allen's really fucking good." Like to a point where Patrick Mahomes isn't the unified QB1 anymore. It's almost like a QB1A and 1B situation. Who are you guys on the side with? I think I kind of know who Justin's on the side with because it's his team. But Corbin, who are you on the side with? And then we'll get to you, Justin. Then.
I mean, for like fantasy wise, I think it's Josh Allen at this point, just kind of based on the rushing. I guess his head coach or not being there or whatever, the offensive guy might impact that, right, in terms of the system or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe it's just recency bias. But like watching the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game, like to me, they kind of just lost it. Like they're just like I don't say playing cute, but just like not trying to win in the end of the game. And so I don't know what the reason for that is, but it's like if you got a team down a few scores, like, and you're just it's like they just changed what they did. So I don't know what went on there, but maybe I'm just maybe I'm jumping the gun. But for right now, I think maybe Josh Allen.
I think that a lot of people are on Josh. Josh Allen's a really good player. My problems with him from a fantasy standpoint are twofold, and I'll try and keep it brief because I know we're trying to hit our time here. But number one is Josh Allen likes to run the ball. I know for a fact that McDermott does not like him doing that. They want him healthy for a full 16-game slate. So a lot of people don't know this, but he was actually – Brian Daboll was on the hot seat around week 13 because McDermott was like, you need to run the freaking ball. I don't want my quarterback getting hit this much. They don't have a running back. I think that they're going to sign Melvin Gordon this offseason. I think he's a strong fit for that scheme. And the other part of the problem is that he has a new offensive coordinator, which is it kind of goes back to the first point. I think they're going to bring in a Melvin Gordon type to be the pounder here. Singletary is going to have his role on third down, or vice versa, however you want to slice that up. I think we've seen what he is. And he's also a little inflated. People forget he was like trucking dudes. He injured like 4 players that game. So, like Gabe Davis had like the 5th string corner on skates. Like Josh Allen's good, but they were playing against a badly injured team late in that game too.
Sure.
I'm a Bills fan, so I try to be. I'm a little bit pessimistic on them too. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Josh Allen's top 5 quarterback, but I just think Mahomes, what you're getting with Andy Reid, which is a high-volume passing attack, and I just don't know what the Bills want to do, especially with the new scheme, and I know McDermott wants to run the ball. So,
yeah. I think I'm more in the camp of Josh Allen just because of the running upside, and it doesn't have to be like open field running upside, but touchdowns. Touchdowns mean everything in fantasy. I mean, maybe not everything, but they mean the most amount of points. So you know what? When it comes down to it, if they don't actually lock up that running back position like people say they should, a lot of people do, then he's going to be their goal line back once again, and he's going to be getting at least 5 touchdowns, which, hell, that's great on my fantasy score.
My week 5, if they don't get a running back. I think
Devin Singletary is pretty good. I think they're just too much mixing in guys. I mean, late in the season, right? They just they gave him the ball more often, and I think he's definitely talented. He's a good.
I hope you're right.
I wonder if he can take the workload though. Like he looks like he just goes in between weeks of like being like really freaking like beat up, and then there's weeks where he just absolutely explodes and has great burst. I think Melvin Gordon's a good move because I think if they can make that like a split backfield where you have 2 dynamic runners instead of having to deal with, I don't even remember what the other guy's name was.
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. There you go.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. Like for the past 3 off seasons, they've been talking about Melvin Gordon in Buffalo like every single season. So yeah. I just feel like this is the year it finally happens.
Well, let's hope so, because I actually really like the Bills. They're one of my favorite teams outside of the 49ers. But anyways, guys, it's time to wrap it up. Corbin, once again, congratulations on your finalist appearance in the FSWA ongoing series awards. Where can we find you? And yeah, go away, plug it away, man.
You can find me on Twitter at Corbin_Young21. I dabble in fantasy football and baseball. So right now my head's probably 75% baseball and a little bit of football. But yeah, I mean, right now it's not as much football articles coming out, but maybe stuff here and there for RotoViz and fantasy data. But yeah, just definitely a little more heavily in the fantasy baseball realm right now. But so yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Good chat with you guys.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Dynasty Matt, take us away. Where can we find you? What are you doing? What are you working on?
Yeah, so again, I'm at Dynasty Matt. I'm working on some articles here. Going to come out with part number 2 for the quarterback carousel, where I think these guys are going. I've already kind of labeled the market of who's going to be available, so be on the lookout for that. And then just going to start breaking down the incoming rookies when I get a chance here. So I've looked at Corral most recently, and like I said, I have not been impressed. I've only seen like 4 games, but not super impressed. So
awesome. And you can find me at SemtexMex93 on Twitter. It's been great, guys. Once again, cheers. It's good to be back. And stay frosty, Brew Crew.
Thanks, guys.